Okay, good morning. Let's do this. Uh, so, uh, 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 yeah, it's morning. I haven't really gotten up to speed yet. So this is the case. Then I mentioned the curl opt wait debugging here in my little intro screen that I showed off just now, because we got a bug report yesterday that looked like this. Where is it? It's not there. It's here. Curl hangs at 100% CPU usage on HTTP1 concurrent request with pipe wait. So this is where I intend to start my morning, I think. I took a quick look at it yesterday and it looked complicated, so why not? Why not dig into it for real? Where are my things? Okay, let's switch over to here. I'm going to move my windows around a little bit, which you can't see because they're stuck on the same position on your what you see, but they're not on my screen. Okay, so I got a bug report. And here's the code that reproduces it. I call it 3813 because that's the bug report number. Look, 3813. So I'm having this code that I'm going to build a debug version of and run and see what happens. And the key here is that it uses this pipe wait instruction. And just to make things a little less confusing and to remember exactly what pipe wait does. Set wait to 1 to tell curl to prefer to wait for a connection to confirm or deny that it can do pipelining or multiplexing before continuing. It actually can't do pipelining anymore, so I should fix that as part of my fix. Okay, so I won't be in the Wolf SSH branch, and I have the latest. I'm quite sure. I'll just make sure that I rebuild my stuff so that I don't have any Wolf SSH remainders lingering around. Okay, so this is the code. It's very simple. It adds 5 transfers, all of them transferring the same file with a delay, I guess, bet, blah blah blah. And pipe wait verbose is on. I don't think this matters at all. Here's the proxy. But it does HTTPS over the proxy, so it's supposed to connect to that. So, right. So just build my version again. So then this is issue 3813. Okay, so and then I have my little normally I have a debug directory already set up, and here is the 3813 file. I have a make file that will build it. Actually, I have a more complicated setup like that because I have a debugit.c, which is a symlink. So my makefile here always builds debugit.c. So I just symlink it to different files, and it'll rebuild this debugit.c with my current libcurl work. It says Wolf SSL here, but I don't think it needs that. A lot of dependencies. Whew. Okay, and if I run it, this is the problem. I noticed this before. Will now just verify what I did before. Just before I started streaming, I did this command line: curl with the localhost proxy to my own website, just to make sure that it works, and it does. I just wanted to make sure that it makes the connect properly through to the site on the other side, and it makes it gets that's the proxy saying okay, and then connect is completed, and then it sends the get, and in this case it's HTTP2 request. So yeah, that works. So I switch tab here, and no, that's not the right thing. Sorry, wrong tab, but let's run it again. Boom. It makes the connect, but it gets a forbidden. What's the difference? What's the difference? Why does that work and that doesn't work? Curious. That works. What? Okay. I'm apparently stupid somehow. I just haven't figured out how. Connect. So here's a connect. Oh, there's no user agent, but host proxy connection. Host user agent proxy connection. Does it really do that due to no user agent? Okay, I'll just quickly try what happens if I set a user agent as well. Good morning! I'm starting off this morning with some fun debugging. Yeah. Oh, I guess you saw also this morning that my most ever upvoted Stack Overflow answer was removed. So it no longer exists, but it was fun while it lasted. And I also yesterday, I really can't remember. Yes, I think. Well, it's not clear why they removed it. So for some reason they can specify reasons for other things, but not for removing. And removing they removed the entire question. So if you go there now without enough status, you just won't see it. But since I have status enough on Stack Overflow, I can actually see the removed entry. But there's no motivation. It's just it was removed by a moderator like 8 hours ago. I can even show you actually how it looks like for me. If I go to right, I need to find the link somehow. Where is that? If I go to Stack Overflow for my answer that I did for the question, it says like this. So I can actually see it being, it has this red color because it was deleted by Yvette Colombe 9 hours ago. So, and as you can see, there's no motivation. It was put on hold early on, and then it was locked 13 hours ago. It's not considered a good on-topic question, but locked because it has a historical significance, it says. And then removed. But I still have it on my blog then, so you can actually read. I have the full text here on my. So it's not that bad, and it was probably off topic. Never mind. And I was gonna mention another thing, and that is that I figured out another flaw in the parallel transfers thing, or I would say maybe another thing that made it even better, because yesterday I made sure that we can actually both upload and download things correctly in parallel as well. So now well, not now, but yesterday. Maybe I should show that off too, because that's pretty cool. As you can see, I can basically not keep stick to my schedule here, but I'm trying to find my command line that I used yesterday, so I don't have to write it again. I did like this. This is a cool command line. I can't type. So here's an example command line that uploads a README file to my SFTP account. There's the magic next instruction. I should possibly do like this to show it off bigger. I don't know if it's big enough. Well, so it uploads README to this destination, and next is just a magic separation on the command line, which basically says forget everything, start over, and then it adds another URL to download from and download to this file, which of course then doesn't store anything because I don't want to. This is just 8 GB of zeros. So it uploads a small file over SFTP, downloads a big file over HTTP in parallel. But that's how it works. So that of course doesn't work like that. So I need to rebuild, because that's what I do. And this is pretty cool actually. So it's worth the rebuild. So okay. Fiddling around with my windows. Always forgetting that I shouldn't use all cores, so maybe my video is stuttering, or maybe not. Something in later auto tools started to do these amending things, and they are really slow. So in modern days, auto tools has really gotten much slower. But in general, it's not a big problem, because I mean it takes a minute or two, and it's not a big deal. So I rebuilt the parallel thing. Oh, and I also got some early test code for doing a cursor's UI on top of the parallel thing. So I'll try that out as well. So where was I? Here, this command line: upload a little file to over SFTP, download a big file over HTTP at the same time. Boom. Yep. So, and I think this is also a bug, because I think this should show a percentage, but it didn't. But it downloaded 8 gigs and it uploaded 5Ks. It was 2 transfers. None of them are live anymore. There's no queued. It took 2 seconds. That's the speed. And the speed here is the highest of the upload and download transfer speeds. Because what is speed when you're uploading and downloading at the same time, right? I don't want to add them together because that's weird, and yeah. But still, I just wanted to show you that it actually works, because I had forgotten about this next thing. So when yesterday I was playing with parallels, and I tried doing both upload and download at the same time, and I realized that it actually didn't work. So I fixed this. So I had to rewrite a little stuff to make sure that the next treatment is also considered for parallel transfers. And this is, I think it's really cool. We have this long discussion on the curl users mailing list now, I mean, not only this progress meter thing, how to show what's going on especially when you do a large amount of parallel transfers, but also how to tell users about the progress, right? What if you do 50 transfers and 2 of them fail? How would a user actually get that information, and how do you get that back, and how do you handle that somehow? And maybe we should be able to show that at runtime somehow. So that's a discussion, and I got that early ncurses code to show off some UI attempts that I'm going to try out later on. That's actually a pretty difficult question, how to handle that, but we've basically only started to scratch the surface. So I'm still very open to ideas and experimentation on how to do that. I'm not in a hurry to ship parallel transfers, so I'd rather want it to be thought through to the extent that I don't have to backtrack anything. So at least the things we put together can be put together that way. So possibly do it at the most basic way first, without doing any huge mistakes, and then add more and more fancy things as we go along. One way to do it is to have a key or a signal or something that dumps info on the screen or to a file. Apparently you can do that with DD, for example. That could be a fairly nice way, and maybe then you could make that file get dumped when the entire operation is done as well. A little bit like how the W option works, sort of write information after the transfer is done, and in this case then after all the transfers are done, here's what happened to each and every transfer that were sort of being done. I'm getting used to the idea in my head to start with, and then I have to figure out if that would actually work out for real as well. Okay, so back to my bug here. I set a user agent now. I can actually work in the parallel transfers branch, because the parallel transfers are not affecting libcurl at all. They're purely command line tool, and this bug is libcurl only. User agent didn't help, at least not that user agent. So weird. Connect. And this is just my Apache Why does it do this? Connect. I wonder if it connects. No, it connects to local. Ah, it connects over IPv6. And I haven't allowed IPv6. But that's interesting because why? It connects IPv6 with libcurl, but not with curl. Why not? Because they use different name resolver backends. Okay, so interesting. So to mimic that the best way, I will do first. I'll go back to the master because I bet I'll change something, so it's cleaner if I use the master branch, and then I'll rebuild my curl with this threaded resolver, which happens to be the default on almost all systems. It's just that I like the CIRS name resolver backend. Yeah, I guess it's mostly for personal reasons, mostly because I wrote a lot of it, but I like not firing up new threads for each name resolve. But since this is the default, I figure I might be able to mimic the test case better with this. Let's see what happens. So here's the issue for your case, since you're reading this. Issue 3813 on this URL. When you see me going back and forth with my head, that's because, of course, because I have two screens and I watch the primary terminal and Emacs on one screen, and I have my browser on the other screen. So when I go the other way, I'm looking at the browser screen, and here's the editor and terminal screens, or windows. Okay, rebuilding there. Now, will it behave differently? Now I rebuild again then with my new... Yes. So now it connected to IPv4. And the reason why there's a difference for IPv4 and IPv6 here, that's just because I have a stupid configure file. So when we connect to the HTTP proxy here and we send connect, blah, 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 this thing, we connect to a remote site on port 443. The proxy has a configuration that says only allow this for a certain set of clients. So it's actually, I'm not sure exactly why I did it, but I think I followed some guidelines that said it's clever to not have this open to everyone. So it actually just limits, you have to come from a certain set of IP addresses to be allowed to do connect, and I allow connect to any host name. Any port really, which most proxies won't allow. So, and I limited those to only IPv4 addresses that I could think of, and 127.0.0.1 is one of them, and ::1 was apparently not included there. So I guess, so I think it's my fault for not including the IPv6 address. So if I connect over IPv6 to the proxy, it'll reject my connect request. So if I do that, I get a completely different test result. So, okay, now I can reproduce because now I get all the way to the get. So now I'm talking a lot without concentrating on the actual bug. So I've spent, that's basically me in a nutshell, right? And just sitting here talking and don't actually. So it gets this far and there's a delay here. So it's supposed to take 2 seconds until there's something back. Yeah, Storebror. That's the name of my machine. It means big brother in English. It's the Swedish Storebror. I guess I named it. I don't remember exactly why I named it like that. I have a little brother, so maybe that's because it. Or maybe I named it a big brother just because it was when I replaced the smaller machine with a bigger machine. I don't remember exactly. It's a fairly old machine by now, and it's been called like this for several years by now. Not that a local host name is very important. I'll name my next machine Aniki then. So pipe weight. This is the key to the bug, apparently. Pipe weight means that we want to do several connections to the same host, and we tell curl that it is okay if there's a pending connection to the same host name. Wait for that connection to see if we can pipeline or multiplex, within which this nowadays then means just multiplex. Wait for connection to this host to see if we can multiplex. But if there's already a connection done and we know that that connection can't multiplex, we should just continue with a new connection instead of waiting. This is basically a way for, if this would have been an HTTP2 server, by using this we can say we rather wait and build transfers over the same connection rather than doing many parallel connections, which is how you, I wouldn't say you often want it with HTTP2, right? Instead of just firing up 5 transfers at once, and those transfers would all get different connections, you would rather just have it do one connection and the other 4 transfers would be multiplexed over the same connection. So if this would have been an HTTP2, all these 5 transfers could have been done over the same connection as different just transfer streams over this HTTP2. But now they can't because this is not an HTTP2 server. But for some reason it doesn't seem to really care about that, and it gets stuck. In this case, when we get a response here, it responds actually this as soon as we know this is not an HTTP2. The other ones who are waiting for pipe weight, they could now be told that no, you're not going to be getting a pipe here. Go on. So I'm going to dig into this. Server doesn't support multiplex yet. Wait. I think this is let's grep for it. Support multiplex. I have that in the code somewhere. Wait, here it is. If it can multiplex but the bundle multi-use is unknown. Wait pipe is true. Well, that seems correct, right? Because in the initial case, it should just wait, because now the first one is about to connect, so it's waiting. All the others are waiting for that initial connection. And I have a debug enabled. I run configure enable debug when I build curl, and that's why I get all these extra verbose outputs, like all these state changes there, not in the regular verbose output. But they're pretty convenient when you debug libcurl. So, and as I said, when it says this, we know this should actually signal the others, are you pipe waiting on this host? Stop doing it. You can move on, because it's not going to happen here. And I actually don't even remember exactly how I did my pipe wait. Set pipe wait. Found pending candidate for reuse, and I think when I implemented pipe wait, I was too focused on actually succeeding, because I was trying mostly with making sure that it works when doing actual HTTP2. So I think this is just a case of me not having covered all the bases. So when it actually fails to do pipelining in the end, it doesn't really handle it properly. So bundle here is pretty much a collection of connections to the same host. And here it comes to here, and here's a linked list and with all those connections to the same host name. And it collects them per host name just to enable us to do limitations of like number of connections per host name and so on. Okay. What I wanted to do really is I wanted to make sure that connections that are in pipe wait, they go here to connect pend state. And I think in this case they basically never leave that state. They're in there, all of them. ALPN. Do I do an ALPN? Maybe that is in the... Server did not agree to protocol. Where does it say that? Would I do something different if I would do it again? I'm sure it would be different if I would do it again, but I'm not sure how or why or what. But I mean, it's a different world today than when I started doing curl, so I would imagine that a lot of things would be different. I'm not really that kind of guy. I'm not sitting around thinking of what I would have done differently, and I don't think it's very... I'm not sure it's that interesting to think about what we should have done differently, because we didn't, and this is what we have. And so I think it's much more interesting to think about the question, what should we do next? What should we fix? What's the worst parts with curl right now that we should fix, and sort of questions like that instead. And I'm actually pretty happy with how curl works in general. I think we've succeeded to make a design which in many ways have survived nicely, in that we have managed to provide an API that has been able to be fairly solid for a long time, and yet we've managed to sort of re-architect and refactor curl internals several times around without it ever having really affected the API. And nowadays I'd say the internals are in a pretty good shape. It has its quirks and corners that isn't that that I would have rather not have made it that way from the beginning. Like perhaps one of the worst things I think with curl is the API, in that we have this set up with var args, which is terrible in C, since it means that we actually lose type checks for inputs, basically. That's a bit annoying, but also it's a freedom, so it's both good and bad. It would have yeah, I think it generally has both pros and cons, most things that we've done. So overall, I think things are good. I'm happy with how we've done things, and even beside beyond the pure technical, like how the source is laid out or how the architecture works, I think we've managed pretty good with the project in general. We have like great documentation. We have a nice community of people. We're friendly people. We've never had any major flame wars or big, arguments and fallouts or anything. We're just focusing on getting things done, having a pretty solid code base, good test suite, nice CI. Everything is, I'd say, pretty good. We could use more contributors. We could do with more review of code. We could do with more attention to things from more people like that. But it's a luxury thing. Which open source project doesn't want more contributions and more help from more people? So yeah, I'm not complaining. It's fine. We could have, I think our weakest spot possibly that is in things that are Windows specific. Also in common with a lot of other open source projects, Windows in general tend to have users, not open source contributors. And while we have a large amount of users, we basically have no contributors using Windows as their primary platform. We have some, and that's great, but sometimes we just don't get enough attention to those. So when we have really specific problems on Windows, that can take a long time, and we can have a little bit of a weak area there that nobody really knows how things actually work, and nobody really cares about those specific details. Well, it's not really true. I mean, people do, but sometimes we end up in a situation where it appears like basically nobody does. Yeah, I think this Windows general lack of Windows developers, that's so common. I see that basically in every open source project. When I worked at Mozilla, it was a huge problem because Mozilla and Firefox is written, with I think 90-something% of all users are using Windows, but basically 90% of all the developers are not using Windows. Was usually a scarce resource even at a company level like that. So all the developers were sitting with Linux or Mac, and all the developers are on non-Windows, and all the users are on Windows. Not all, but a very large amount. So it's a universal problem. I don't have any solution for that. When a connection is found out to not be able to do multiplexing, it has to signal internally somehow that the ones waiting could just move on. And we don't have that signal. I need to fix that. That's pretty lame of me to not do that, because right now then all those connections are just going to, all those transfers are just going to wait until something happens on the connection. Like in this case, when it actually tries it out, when this performance is done, and then for some reason it doesn't even work, then server doesn't support multiplex yet. Wait, it shouldn't say that. It should. That's one bug actually. I should fix that first. Yeah, let's fix that first. We have pretty big structs in curl handling things. So there's this connect data. That's the struct for a connection. It's a huge struct. And it has a pointer to the bundle we are a member of. So a bundle is a set of connections. Yeah, it's actually pretty. I mean, I don't want to be. I want to sort of say that Windows is bad in a way for users, but it's sometimes a bit sad that we have so few developers or contributors. I think it's also possibly because of I don't know, tradition, and so open source in general has never been. It came from a Unix, Linux background more than Windows people. So Windows developers are more accustomed to non-open source development, maybe. I don't know. So I want to make sure that the connection, the bundle is marked as non-multiplex. When it's not multiplexed, this bundle multi-use, I want to make sure that it's updated when we know it's not for multi-use anymore. So we don't really do that. And when we get a response back and it's HTTP 1.1, we know it's not for multi-use. Here's the header parser. HTTP blah blah blah. So we can do it either I will start with this, just because what's annoying is that the NTLM, not NTLM, the ALPN response is a TLS thing, so we have that spread out in so many different TLS codes. Maybe I should have a more generic thing. ALPN, nothing generic. So in this case, when they what I am doing in a nutshell is this code, curl issue 3813. It has a problem. Well, it finds a bug actually in the pipe weight option. Pipe weight doesn't work when we connect to non-HTTP2 servers, and it really should work. I like this comment. This is a bug in the libcurl even, but okay. Libcurl is used by the curl utility, so yeah, it's used by more than that even. So if we can parse the entire thing, I'm just lying server, not serving. I'm going to try out this first. If HTTP version con bundle mark bundle as no multi-use. I'm just doing some debug output here to make sure that I makes pointer from integer blah blah blah. So, okay, so that was right. It's not bundle, it's bundle. That was a good warning because that was stupid. Not multi-part. Multi-use. And my makefile actually rebuilds libcurl here, and it builds the new, and let's run it again and see what happens. 1 2 3 boom. And we mark bundle as no multi-use, so it marks it there, and then it says found bundle here doesn't support yet. That's Why? If it's unknown, then we know. Okay. If it's unknown, it is unknown, but when we set it to something that we know is... yeah, now it actually works. It works in that it doesn't hang. So okay, this is clearly a step forward. So now, after it gets the response, it marks it as not multiplexed, and that is good. Or, well, it's not, since it's not doing the right thing anyway. Since it's supposed then to fire them up all in parallel, since it's supposed to handle 4 host connections in parallel, but it doesn't. It's waiting for each of them. It's okay. One step forward. I'm just going to do a little pipe wait fix. I'm just going to make a new branch in Git so that I can mark multi-use as no multiplex after HTTP 1 response. It's just I need to clean that up. I'm just going to put it there so that I can experiment more without feeling bad and risking breaking things. I can just revert back to that state if I want to. So yes, this is clearly better. Mark bundle as no multi-use, as not supporting. Okay, yeah, that is good. Yeah. I think maybe I think it's I have an idea now. So I have another idea, I should say, because I had an idea before too. So they're putting, when waiting for connections for this connect pending, when a connection is waiting in connect, is waiting for a connection, really. It just adds one connection at a time back to the connect state. So when it then figures out, whoa, well, their connection is fine, let's move another request on there, it just moves one. Which in this case is pretty lame, because there are more than one waiting. Should we mark somehow? I know that I limited the number of connections that do this, or number of requests to do this, because if for example, if there's a connection that only allows, it allows 100 streams, and there's one stream that becomes available and there are 100 waiting, there's no use in making 100 try again when it's just one that became available. But in this case, quite a few became available. So it would make sense to fix the logic to maybe say, oh, well, more than one became available, and then loop this, or one became available. But how would it know? It would only know if you have a counter somewhere knowing how many that are waiting. And we know that, right? We have a mailing mailing list. We have a linked list with pending transfers in the multi-handle. They are waiting to get done. They are queued up in the multi-handle. They are queued up. We should send them. We know how many they are, but we don't know how many that are. Yeah, this is a bit complicated. But okay, let's not fix everything at once. In this case, we lose several seconds because the response takes seconds before we get that response back. We could mark connections as not multi-use already when we get the ALPN response back, and we know that this isn't HTTP2, and that we know it won't be multi-use. And maybe we should make it more clever, because as you can see here, with we have pending transfers. They're generally just pending transfers for the multi-handle, so they're there without explaining why, and not per they're not per host or per connection or anything. They're just there, and they'll just take them back to the connect state and try them again. And in this case, they will work them because they can just continue there. Okay. Sometimes I get people commenting that doing a HTTP library or HTTP tool is so easy stuff. So what am I doing all the time with changing curl? And then I end up sitting in a case like this, and I'm thinking, Jesus, how do it should be easier, right? It should have been a better man. Okay, the more logic and the more clever things we add to the library, the more of situations like this we can get. So we should have some hint. Maybe we should for example, this connection wasn't multi-use, and then this would go through all the ones that are related to that connection or that bundle, and we would try all those in that bundle. And we could do that for ALPN, whichever it did for ALPN. And really, we should actually trigger that check for either of the results, even if it's selected HTTP2 or HTTP1. That's the reason enough to go back and do move the state immediately. Yes, I'm Daniel Stenberg himself. That's my name. I So this becomes a bigger change than I wanted or anticipated or thought about. But if it's a problem, it's a problem, so we need to fix it, right? I think I want to make a generic function to call from all these specific TLS backends saying, hey, we now know what version this connection. Well, we now know the multi-use state of this connection or something like that. And this queuing, going to just take a look at how we add them to the process. Remove from queue. If multi is changed. Oh, here's what where it is. No connection available. Right, then it adds to the pending list. That's the only place it adds to the pending list. And it adds this the data pointer. With the data pointer is the pointer to the transfer struct, the curl easy pointer. I think one thing that is decent in curl is that some of the variable names are the same in all functions everywhere. Basically, they are mandated more or less by our code standards. So data is always the pointer to the transfer struct. And conn, C-O-N-N, well, there's no one in sight here. Well, this handles many connections like this. So the conn variable is always pointer to the connect struct. So that is regard to the connection, data is regards to the transfer. And multi is regards to all the transfers. So there are many data in one multi, and for one data and one active transfer, there is always one active connection. But of course there can be many connections that survives transfers that lives in the connection cache, which is held by the multi handle. So yeah, structs. Here we add it to the pending. There's nothing wrong in adding it there. That seems rather controlled and fine. Yeah. So when it detects, when I move one, or rather if there's an availability to run another transfer, it just takes them from this queue, then puts it back in the connect state, removes it from the queue, and it puts an expire time for that transfer. Expire run now, so that libcurl will know that even if there's no activity on the socket for that particular transfer, deal with it now. And that's all that takes to restart the state machine and this state. and then if it then it'll just start over. And if it then again finds itself not able to do it because there's no, for example, not enough, if it already reached number of connections per host name and stuff like that, it'll just go back to the connect pending state, and it'll end up in this linked list again. And this linked list is sorted, so it'll always get the first one first. So the oldest one will be tried first, and then if it doesn't work, it'll be put in the end, and then it'll process like that. But in this case, of course, we'd rather want it to process more than one transfer and try out a few more. And I think in the case when we notice that it isn't multi-use, that's a perfect opportunity to make it process all handles that are related to the what? Not connection to the same, but when they're not in the bundle, when they're not in use, I think. So maybe. No, I don't have any I was thinking maybe I should add a reason why they're added to the pending queue, but they're actually they don't have any reasons. There's just no connection available. So then I wouldn't need to add more flavor to this, possibly different reasons. Oh, did you? You're talking about? Yes, I'm talking about the 3813 bug. Was that yours? The curl opt pipe. Well, I can never even remember my own option name. The curl up pipe weight bug. So yes, that's what I'm looking at. This one. And I could tell you, if you missed it so far, that I have a partial fix, or I should say I have a one fix. It's not ideal, it's not perfect, but it at least makes things, it at least makes it run through. Oh, you can see it because I ran it on the other, like this. I can actually, so now it doesn't get stuck. So in my fix here, it actually performs them all. So it's better, but I'm stuck a little bit in my head because I haven't really figured out the best way to fix this, because it turns out the bigger problem is because the lack of brain capability in my head. So it's actually a little bit of a mistake that it doesn't work better. So I think I'm going to dive in and do this. I'm going to make a generic function in the VTLS code. The VTLS being the generic code for TLS stuff. But it's actually not, no, I'll take that back. It's not really TLS related because we can also use HTTP2 without TLS, at least in theory we can do that. So I'd rather this perhaps be something else. Maybe I'll call it just multi-use use set. And then we set it on a connection, and we set it if it's wait. There it is, the neg protocol, and neg protocol is as it's a bit weird that we call it neg npn here. NPN being the older way to negotiate negotiate protocol beyond TLS. That's it, and it's an older TLS extension before ALPN. And nowadays the browsers, at least Firefox and Chrome, they have dropped NPN support. They only support ALPN, while of course curl supports both. But I don't think many people are actually using NPN these days. I'm gonna make sure that it actually says 1.1 if it doesn't agree. Sometimes I get complaints about this log text here, that it did not agree to a protocol because people don't understand what it means. But no, I don't know how to address that really. So if it is version 2, and I realize this, we will need something else in the future when we also support version 3, but okay, let's ignore that for now. So right now I wanted to say find these defines bundle multiplex and bundle no multi-use. Multiplex and no multi-use. Okay, that's confusing. But so I just wanted to introduce this little function, call the function, well, maybe it should return void, and set the state for the connection that we just got the information about as soon as possible, because if there are connections or transfers waiting for information, they can be told. So I'm going to try this out, and I'm going to try it out with the Open SSL backend only to start with. So where pending handles. That's the pending handles function. Wrong paste. That's the function I wanted to create. Void. When information about the connection has appeared, this call this. Who you gonna call? Struct connect data. Multi-use, was that a enum, or was it a boolean, or what was it? Too many places for it to occur. Concache.c. They're just defined, so unknown. Okay. Bundle state. So, okay, we know that it changed state. Maybe we should call it multi-use state. So it changed state. It changes state of the. So if actually no matter of disregarding which state it changes to from, we can do this. And how do we find the multi-handle from the connection? The multi-handle is part of a multi-handle, of course. Everything is part of a multi-handle really, because the multi-handle is what holds each transfer. And even when using a single, even when using the easy interface, is actually a multi-transfer internally. So we can reach it via the curl easy pointer, I'm sure, because in there's a multi. So we can do it like this. From con we go to data, we go to multi. So in this case we can check it out. We can move things there, and boop, 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 boop. Well, it can only move one connection still, but if I do it like this, it'll at least move it much earlier than previously. Wait, here are pipelining functions. I think we removed those. But okay, wait, max total connections. Max total connection, yeah. Wait, what is this? Multi-con changed. Is that basically what we need? Con. Did we remove that? No definitions found. What? No column change anymore. Gone. Implicit declaration, of course, because now it's OpenSSL. Multi-interface. Oh right, I renamed it. It was now it is now state, and I did something else wrong. It should have been a question mark there. Something else. Oh, I didn't use the state because it doesn't matter, because we don't know what to do with it. Update now then. I love it when I change the name all the time, because now then I can't even remember myself what I ended up calling it, because I changed it so many times. So, but this is actually pretty good, because then we can just do update on the connection. But this okay, back to this doesn't update the multi-use. Let me check again then. In the connect data, that's the struct for the connection. And that has, surely it has a, no it doesn't, does it? The bundle we are a member of, yeah, it does have a bundle. Okay. Okay. Okay, so okay, let's undo that change again, because it changes. It should change the state, right? So I'm just get that back, and we want to change the state because we want to do the con bundle multi-use to be bundle state. Just to make sure that we don't do far too crazy things here, I'm just going to add some asserts here. I mean, these should all just exist and work and be fine. But it catches bugs earlier if we add some asserts. So what did I do about the name in there? Yeah, I undo that too. Not update, now it's back to state. And now it builds. Okay, I think this is a coffee refill moment. Are you ready? Coffee time. I'll be back in a sec. There. Coffee and more code. It struck me that maybe I should make sure that when we have transfers pending and we try to move one connection or one transfer back to actually happen, and if that succeeds, maybe it should then try another one to do it. If we would do it like that, we would, in this case, get them all going really fast. I think that we don't store the information that this is a retried, a connection put back into the connect state to try it out again. It was in pending, it gone back to connect. So if I wanted to do it like that, I need to add that extra information somewhere, so that this is a retried connect attempt or retried transfer. And I think that could be valuable, because then we don't have to just bulk add a lot of attempts like I once used to do, which turned out to be really bad if we have many transfers in the queue. But if we if you try them out one at a time, it seems like one more controlled way to do it. So that could be a way. Maybe. Here's it built. Did it work? That's the question, right? So now it should tell us already when it gets the ALPN negotiation is done or failed or completed at least. Then it should move the transfer yeah, but it's still, yes. I'll just scroll up and see if we could spot it. Is supposed to be here, right? Yeah, exactly. So here we can see we got this, did not agree to protocol, and bam, it moved one of the connections to the connect state. And therefore we get two of them immediately. So yes, this is clearly a step forward. And now it made them two almost instantly. But then it only tries one at a time, and therefore it'll take, in this case, 2 seconds for each instead of faster. So let me then just I'm a bit sparse here on the commit messages because I'm not really done with them. I'm just committing them now to make sure that I can go back. I'll clean it up in a minute. I just want to I want to try this first. So process pending handles. When this puts it back into the connect state, I want to mark it somehow so that we know that it comes from, this has been in the pending queue. And I want to do that because when it gets to this point, so when it puts back, when it goes back here, I would rather perhaps, yeah, so that when it doesn't return this, if it returns okay here, we know that it had been in the pending state. We ask for another one to get recalled from the pending state. And well, we put transfers there, so it has to be in the transfer struct, which is that curl easy struct. And the curl easy struct has like a bazillion of booleans already. Or these days, the dynamic static struct is a struct here. Was it? No, not. Possibly modified. I thought about the one called state. This is the one. URL state. URL, because once upon the time the struct was actually called URL data. That's why the file is called URL data, and then was called URL state as well. So yeah, history. So in here, in the URL state, which is just a big struct of state variables, we have booleans, or as we nowadays have them, as bit fields, because it turns out they end up smaller in memory. So we can, like this, previously pending. This transfer was in the multi-pending queue. Like that. And that is cleared automatically from the beginning. And I want it to do like this. If it puts it back, we could potentially use the information here, because if it was previously pending and it is put back here again, we know that it was a failed attempt to use it. But I rather wanted it to be here, that if data state previously pending, this transfer comes from the pending queue, and so try move another process pending handles. Boom. Connection multiplex. I don't know why it says that. Like this. And then in the process there, we just make sure that the data state previously pending set to true here, so that we can actually also mark this as having been in the pending queue. We don't clear it, but I don't think we need to. We might want to use that information as a muddy point, perhaps. At least I don't see any point in clearing it right now. It'll just be used for this simple and single place. As you can see, I'm sort of switching how I build curl from within Emacs or in the terminal, on and off. Doesn't matter, just where. Okay, does it work better now? It does, right? Boom. No more multi-done now. Wow. that turned out to be good in some ways, but bad in some ways. Turned out to be worse. This log text, of course, doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but it might make sense for us right now. So let's just see if I can get that output. Sometimes I prefer running a shell from within Emacs, simply because it makes it easier to scroll back and really investigate what happened in the output. Still in use 1, no more Dilton. Maybe it's some timing related, so let's see from the beginning here then. I'll search for pend. So we can see then as this immediately when it doesn't get any ALPN support from their server, then it tries to move another connection to connect state. Another transfer it is to connect state, that handle. And that's good. That's exactly what we wanted. And here's then it continues the first transfer. The first transfer is succeeding in its connect. It's sending its request. It'll go to through these states. This is the transfer handle. Multiplexed connection found. What silliness is this? When not multiplexed, we have a match here. I don't understand this. It's actually not if it's multiplexed, it's more like it's if it's already in use, right? How did I break this? It's not supposed to find. Something is wrong in the multiplex. Can multiplex. Blah blah blah. Multiplexed. No, this is wrong. And bundle multi-use is oops, too long line. Okay, this is silly. Pending, pending, pending. And here's the first one. ALPN, it moves there. So that's this handle. And when that's found bundle, found connection 0 with 1 request on it. But it can't reuse that connection yet because it hasn't gotten the response. If multiplexed connection in use. Used by one or more. Yeah, but if it's used by one, it doesn't mean multiplexed. It means in use. So this logic is pretty complicated. Obviously, not even I can understand it. So maybe I should reconsider something. found bundle 4. Yeah, that is correct. And found bundle 4, and it says serially here. And it's supposed to say serially when it cannot multiplex. But then, and can multiplex, that means that we can actually multiplex. We said, yeah, sure, do that if we can. So the new one could do that, but we know that the connection we have doesn't allow it. So yeah, so we can, I think that's the thing. We can't multiplex if we don't know anything about the server. Yes, but now we know something about the server. If it's unknown, if it's multiplexed, but we can also do it if bundle multi-use. Getting more and more convoluted, this fix, but okay. If it turns out working in the end, that's good. This looks pretty good. How fast does it? I mean, how quickly does it run? 4.5 seconds. Should it run faster? They all wait 2 seconds, so yeah, it should run faster. Here's a useless log output, allocate buff, connect buffer. So ALPN server did not agree to protocol. Hello, check if there's a connection available. Ooh, right, thank you. That's the limitation there. Yes, so it takes 4 seconds. So I don't know why it takes 4.5, but at least yes, that's why that's why it doesn't take 2 seconds. So it's 4 seconds, and some extra. But thank you. I forgot about that. The code has this limitation here. It says max host connections 4, so it's actually limiting the number of connections to the same hostname to 4 while adding 5 transfers. So this is, well, now we're at least at a decent state. I'm going to check again if I can figure out if I can spot the extra half second. So ALPN, first to connect, and it doesn't know if it can multiplex anything until that point. Then it knows it won't be able to multiplex anything here. So it then I'm just thinking what happens if we shouldn't really make sure that if it says TLS, if it says HP2 it can multiplex, so that seems okay. So in this case it says, oh, try to connect this one, and it'll do that. That's this handle. And it will then connect. I think what is added then is that it takes a while for each of these extra transfers, because of the pipe wait instruction, they're waiting for the success of the connect, and now we only add the next one until the next connect succeeds. So it takes a bunch of milliseconds for each connect, and then it adds the next transfer. So I think that's why it's the pipe. This is, now we're getting into the weeds if this is worth optimizing for or not. I don't think I'm going to push forward on that right now. But since it's doing pipe wait, when it starts doing this, it'll queue up everything except the first transfer, right? So it'll put 4 in the queue and start making one until we know if it can be multiplexed or not. And that's what we're asking with pipe wait. Wait a while and see if we can pipeline the others. And when it finds out no, it can't move on, it'll just move on one transfer at a time to do it, and it'll add the next one once the next connect succeeds. So it'll be a few milliseconds per moving from the queue into the pipeline again, so to speak. Shouldn't use the word pipeline when it's HTTP because we don't do pipeline, but anyway. And now I'm going to stick to this approach, I think. I just remember that I think these are functions we don't have anymore. I should clean that up. I'll do that separately. Those are pipeline functions. These penalty things. And here, pipeline. It even says pipelining here in the function. So yeah. I think all of these. So if I was gonna do this, if I'm going to clean up everything to make sure that I can submit a good PR for this, fix multiplexing again, multiplexing connection exists again. No, I need to make a bigger, better description of what I did here, because I did several different things. The previously pending, and this multi-use state is now only used from within OpenSSL and not from the others, which is lame. So if I do it like this, if I version 2, if you just grep it, because this is basically all the TLS backends that then can figure out if it's TLS HP version 2 or not, like this. Here it is. Looks almost identical. Neg npm. do we do that by default somewhere? Neg npn switch. We don't really, but we use the default value, so it says even so we can basically, we don't set it if we don't know it. And only if it's HTTP2 we know it's HTTP2, and then it can multiplex, so we can like in like this. And changing things in the TLS backends is mighty fun, because of course if I wanted to verify all these, I would rather rebuild curl with all these different TLS backends to make sure that I didn't screw up, or I push it to the CI servers and let them have a go at it. Which is usually what I do. Wrong directory. I've changed there, I changed there, I'll change here. As you can see, it looks very, very similar in all the backends, so it's easy to copy and paste the code. Embed TLS NSS, also similar. Did that, yes, also similar. Update the copyright. So I have a little hook in my Emacs that actually verifies that the copyright year string is okay at the top, so it'll prompt me if it isn't. OpenSSL, I fixed. Polar SSL, we have a lot of backends. Boom. Yes. Fixed include. Include multi if.h polar s channel. Hello, hello. Boom. No. We have 3 different ones and mine is already updated. And secure transport. If chosen protocol is a reference to the string. I don't know about that, so I'll just paste here. Multi-IF. IF for interface. Okay. Did I mess anything royally up? I didn't yet, but okay. Now I fix up TLS backends. So I'll start out with I'll just rebase everything. I'll fix up everything, squash them all into one, And then comes the question, should I do these as multiple commits? I really should. Turned out to be a pretty big change too, 67. Okay. I have some cold coffee. Excellent. Or maybe not. Okie dokie dokie dokie. So what do I do? I should so the first hello, I was just gonna change to a different there. The first change here is the mark bundle as no multi-use on HTTP 1 response. And this doesn't really trigger in our case because this is already triggered for us now since the ALPN is a earlier hint. But okay, we did that anyway because if we're doing HTTP only, it'll be good. We don't need to wait. Or rather, we didn't do that at all before. So that's one obvious fix. And there's this, the previously pending, to move more transfers, to move another transfer to connect state. I'm just writing this down for my own sakes now. So, and then call from TLS backends to set multi-use for bundle and process pending transfers. Those are the bugs. And I fixed this as well. Is that separate? Make connection because it says avoid multiplexing for no when improve multiplex check in. Turned out to be quite a few of them. Oops. Okay, pipe wait fix. This is my branch. So let's reset to origin master enter, boom, and then we have all the changes back. And then I commit the first, I'll commit them one at a time. HTTP there, that's one gone, more to go. Previously pending. Right, where's the previously pending? I'm going to put that header back in here because it's not related to my change here, so I'm going to be a little bit strict there. I fixed that one. Previously pending to move another. Turned out then that so previously pending here now, this change got bundled with this change, so it's harder to do add. I wanted to separate them in my commit. Annoyingly enough, I can just cheat a little bit and put it there, and they will appear. That's different. I would. Yeah. I'll just make sure that I didn't mess up. I wanted to do like this. I'll show you because I wanted to commit them as this previously pending thing as a separate, and I wanted to do add -p then. So this is a previously pending fix, and this is not, but this is, and that is not, that is not, nope, nope, oh that is, yes, no, oh I don't think there are anymore. So git commit multi process. Mark Q. That's a weird word. Mark Q transfer as previously pending, so that when a successful can trigger another moving another transfer from the connect state. And then curl multi-use state things. Everything that is related to curl multi-use state. Here it is. Yes. Yes. No. 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 Yes. 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 And that has one as well. There. To update multi primarily to be used by TLS backends when ALPN when getting confirmation. Yeah, primarily to be used by the TLS backends when getting ALPN about the protocol. There, and then what's left? The bundle, the connection exists thing. I'll do that as one fix because they're so related. I think maybe I'll reconsider. Connection exists. That's why it was less than before, because then it this is rather an improvement to the text. Instead of saying yet, it'll say it can't multiplex. I think this is better actually, and that is also better, even if I think it might not even come here. So clarify clarify. What am I doing? Sometimes it's hard to write really good commit messages, right? Improve non-multiplexing use case. Better log output. Make sure multiplex requires. Make sure multiplex. What do I make sure? There. So I turned that into 4 different commits. They seem rather independent. I'm sure I broke something now. Pipe weight fix is now a very weird name for this branch, so I'll rename it to something more like no multiplex improved no multiplexing. Also a weird name, but still it was more generic, and then the fix, since there are several different ones. So I'm going to, and now I'm going to have to basically do the same again, because now I'm going to have to make up a description. For my pull request. Okay, so that was 3813, and not a new PR appeared by J. No, it wasn't a PR, it's an issue. But okay, 3813, we already knew that, so better just not use that zoomed in that much. Improved no multiplexing situation. We know that it fixes this, or it means to at least. So, okay, what does it do? Make it known that the bundle doesn't support multiplexing as soon as we with the transfers being queued up, we only move one at a time back to the connect state. Of another pending transfer. Previously it would otherwise wait until the transfer was done. Until the transfer was done. This makes pending transfers get processed faster. 3. As soon as a TLS backend gets ALPN confirmation about this specific HTTP version, it can now set the multiplex no situation for the bundle. Thus and 4. And with no multiplexing ability. Okay, then maybe I could also do this. Lots of debugging of this, and work this issue and work on this PR done in Daniel's video number 13. And I can add a link there later. Okay, did I forget anything? Should I submit it? Bam. Poof. Okay, lovely. So there's apparently a meta discussion about the removal of that Stack Overflow post that I did that was removed, that I mentioned earlier a while ago. So it's on this, if you want to read it, it's on this URL. I haven't read it myself, I just noticed someone pointed out the link. So here's a long discussion. I might read it later, or I might avoid it, I don't know. Bam. Okay, okay. That took me a while, so 2.5 hours, right? Any requests? What should I do next? I'm pretty satisfied with that debugging thing. It turned out okay. Maybe I should just check out that issue here. I think it was, yeah, I was a bit scared of that. Ranged puts are not I mean, the request, a ranged request for put isn't even really that's not really HTTP defined. It's just something we do in curl, which I'm not sure we should even do. So it's a bit horrible. Let's not go there right now. Otherwise, how's the situation? Otherwise, I saw that I broke the parallel transfers branch again. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe the tests are stupid, or the PR, the Travis ones are usually the ones that are interesting. Hello, slow. Zoom out, zoom out. Okay. Usually when I can see that they broke after already just 6 minutes, that's a bad sign. That means I screwed up. That's not a bad test, because 6 minutes, it didn't even do much in 6 minutes. So I probably caused an error like this. And so from one branch to another. Okay, switch mode into parallel transfers again. This is usually the result of if-defs. So we have the config here, and it's used if I have the debug. And you really, test event based should be a global and not a config thing, so I should probably fix that. And I would say I would do it separately, but doing it separately is really painful now, because this is a massive change now. (1,529 lines). This event. Oh, sorry, I'm not showing the correct screen here. So this event-based thing, I'm looking at the parallel transfers. So when doing serial transfers, we have this debug, and if that is enabled, we can have this option set, which then runs an event-based simulation of the same thing. That's only for testing purposes. But it shouldn't be. The config now can be many different configs for different URLs, but the global one is just one for all. Parallel, I remember parallel, I fixed this for parallel max just the other, I can't type. I wanted to, here, tool main, here it initializes it in main init. That's what initializes a global config. Global config is just one for the entire curl tool, while the configs there are local, so there can be many. So to fix this, I'm going to change it to be a global, and then I can remove that one, and then it'll fail the build because now there's no. Right, it just needs to rerun configure as well. So the parallel transfers thing is developing more, and I had this, I got it. Let me see, where am I? I'm reading emails here now in a separate window as well to make sure that I get the, because I thought I'd had a patch somewhere. Or did I? Did it end up in the spam? I need to handle that separately from the stream. So yeah, that's my build error that I wanted. Test event based. It's here. Bool test event based. If debug. Remove it from there. Global. And put it into, no, where is it? There. Boom. That might work. It works this far at least. So I'll just head over to the browser again. Where am I? Here is the browser, and go. Yeah. Oh, oops. Where am I? Oh, you didn't see that, but clicking on the wrong things. So I'm just going to make sure to. Sometimes these are the little figures. These are Linux builds. They will all basically have pointed out the same error, but sometimes I can just head down and take a look at an Apple build. But because sometimes they find a different warning, so maybe, yeah, that's the same warning, so it's the same, and then it fails all over and it doesn't do anything. So yeah, just one silly mistake. Back to the terminal. Fix up major and check in with a global move event based here. I'll rebase again, squash it, and I'm at 1504. And I'll force push again to the parallel transfers. I've force pushed a number of times by now. And I know that people are reacting when I say a force push, but force push I think is still convenient when working on these experimental, very, very developy branches over a long time as well. So I'm looking back to the browser thing here now. Test cases I don't have, workout I haven't fixed retry either. Hop. Nope, that's the case. So okay, then I did that. How's the situation now? The improved no pipelining situation. We could just see that, woohoo, hooray. Yeah, it's always a good sign when at least some of these tests, the quick ones have at least said green. So that's at least it's not totally broken. So the Travis one and the AppWeir ones, they are the big and slow. They'll take many hours until and it's done. Right. No. I never force push anything on anything on master, and actually I have on GitHub we have the master branch so-called protected, so you can't actually force push on master because GitHub will reject them. So no, never force. Actually, never force push anything on a branch that you're using together with someone else. So it works like this when I have my own branch, pretty much that. So I don't expect anyone else to keep pushing to it or fiddling with it at the same time when I force push at it, and then it works. But the second someone else is working in the same branch, force push is no longer a good idea. So it only works in these early development like crazy when you're alone branches. Otherwise, if not, I tend to do a lot of different pushes and then I squash a lot of them when I merge the patch series in the end, when I merge it into master, which is more or less the same behavior. Because I don't want my been working on a feature on my own for weeks. I don't want that to end up with 27 different crazy commits in the main branch eventually. So I don't really care how the feature come into place. When I merge it, I want it to be nice and clean commits in the master branch. That's mostly what I care about. So, yep. Improved no multiplexing. That seems to be fine so far. This PR. I just wanted to make sure that it... Ooh, okay. Let me do this. I have not seen any issues with Ubuntu 1904. I mean, I've not seen anyone complain about it. I don't use it myself. I don't know. Are there issues? I've used OpenSSL 1.1 for a long time. I don't know if there are any particular reasons or issues with not using that. So if you know of any particular issues or figure them out or something, so file an issue and we can take a look. So I am working on a new little feature that actually changes how we handle the Microsoft language servers for VS Code in work with 1.1. I'm not sure what that means for us, because I mean 1.1, yeah, I don't understand really. I'm just going to fix my little 1563. Little merge conflict here. Not six. It was 63. But no, I'm not sure that's true, because I mean Ubuntu ships packages, right? They have their packages built against the OpenSSL versions they ship. So if you install a package with Ubuntu, they presumably linked it with the library that they ship. So if you apt-get or whatever install on Ubuntu, they will have the correct SSL version. And sure, if some package didn't actually work with OpenSSL 1.1, then I'm sure that Ubuntu doesn't ship that version. So you will only get into trouble if you try to download a binary package from somewhere that isn't adapted to OpenSSL SSL 1.1. But any such package I would probably recommend against using anyway, since that seems like more of a legacy thing. Yeah. This looks wrong. $36.63. I'm sure it's supposed to be 63, like this. Because they're in a numerical order here, so yes, I think this is the right way to do it. And in libtest, and there they are. Lib 50, 58, 56, 58, 63. I think this is fine. Maybe we could even 61, 62, 63. Ah, that's not better. It's better to separate them. It's better. It makes better patches, fewer collisions. And git rebase, continue. So let's see, what did I change? Tests data, yeah, 1563. So I'm adding a different bit to the follow location option. for the future. It's not going to be in this release because we have already closed the feature window. But for the next release, I'm adding a little bit so that you can ask curl to follow a redirect with the curl opt follow location option, but do not set the custom method in the redirect. And that's a pretty obscure thing, but it turns out that a lot of users are setting the custom method, you know, that's one of my pet peeves in the world, in vain. People are setting the string post when they don't need to set the string post because curl will do post by itself. But if you set post as a string, use post, and then you ask curl to follow redirects, the string, the post there, will also be used for redirects, which usually surprises, well, not usually, but many times that surprises users. So I'm adding an option to say don't use the custom method on redirects. Use the internally figured out method. So yes, I know that users want it, and the current method or the current approach was probably a bad idea, the way I implemented back in the days. But I probably was just stupid. But now I can change the existing method. I had to add a new way to do it, and this is the new way to do it. And that fix, and now it's rebased, and I'm going to do a force push. There, bam. And then of course that's the browser for this, and it's there. Started over the CI builds on that one. Yeah, I should have more of a sound effects here in my stream to get a more of a warning signal. The force push alert. So, okay. Sometimes I wish that GitHub would better display PRs that are currently having merge conflicts, so that I could list just merge conflicting PRs and fix them up. But it's not that easy to get an overview of that. So my stuff is the improved multiplexing. I can actually just show my stuff. Follow location. Oh, I have the quick branch too. I left a review. It's good that I reviewed my own stuff. That's good. I should get back on that track. I'll just want how much has that? Conflicting files. So yeah, conflicting files in the quick branch. I don't feel like doing that right now. I have this fun little thing. I wanted to, the Mesa link, which is a TLS backend, it started to fail. So I reverted it, and here's the revert of the revert. That is, I'm trying to put back the Travis Mesa link in check out Travis git, check out Travis Mesa link returns. There it is. Let's rebase that. And force push. Boom. And does it restart? There it restarts. Yes. Pump. So now it's rebased. I tried it 17 days ago, and let's try it again. It actually started to fail without notice. I don't know why it started to fail. So maybe it could just magically start to work again. Mesalink is a separate TLS library. It is claimed to be OpenSSL API compatible, but I'm not sure exactly how compatible it is, because if it was completely compatible, we could just have used the OpenSSL backend we have and pointed out their library. But apparently we couldn't, so we have our own backend for Mesalink too. But that's fun. So now we have a few of these going. Oh, the parallels already failed. Yeah, it's so annoying. Codacy is a static code analyzer, and I'm so fed up with it. I'm actually considering disabling that completely from the CI builds, because it speaks so much rubbish. Check when opening files. Can an attacker redirect it via symlinks? Yes, but that's sort of the point with opening a file. You can... And it's really crappy at allowing me to disable specific warnings and specific things. So yeah, it'll claim it'll be a bad pull request here, but I'll just ignore the codacy warning here. And the other ones are still working, so that's why it's red there already. So yeah, I'm approaching 3 hours on this stream, so I'm going to pause it for today. And tomorrow I'm not going to stream. Tomorrow is May 1st, so I'm actually having a national holiday here in Sweden, so I'm not going to work as the usual way. And I'm going to take a think about it and see what I have for Thursday. Maybe I'll do something Thursday. Yeah, it's called Valborg in Swedish. So I have this sort of annual tradition to send out the link to what Valborg is, since I tend to keep working with Americans and so on. So I tend to paste that link to people to explain what Valborg is, because it's a pretty esoteric Swedish tradition. But primarily it involves bonfires and fireworks. Probably not tonight though, because it's been so dry, so a lot of people are not going to make any bonfires tonight because of the fire hazard. So we'll see what happens today, but tomorrow it's May 1st, which is more of a labor traditional holiday, but still it's a national holiday in Sweden. My kids are off from school, so we're going to take a day off with the family, so I'm not going to stream, but I think I will stream on Thursday again, maybe. I'm going to make a DNS over HTTPS presentation on Thursday afternoon, so I'm not sure I'm actually up for streaming in the mornings. Ooh, well, maybe a short one. Let's do a short one Thursday morning. It could be fun. So until then, curl safely then and have fun. File a few bug reports if you find anything. Do some fun PRs. We can do some live pull request reviewing on the stream, or whatever. I could also talk something about the bug bounty system, but let's get back on that on Thursday. So see you later. Bye.